to my channel, and it's a pleasure to have you here today. And today I'm going to be looking at the situation in Niger. And before I proceed, I just want to say that if you like the content on my channel, please go ahead and subscribe, and also press that like button. And please also let me have your comments coming in, because it is part of what will help me improve on what I'm doing. Like you know, the concern is mainly for Nigeria and Africa in general, and also the world. And today I'm going to be looking at the situation in Niger. And like you know, Niger has brought a lot of concern for many of us because of what's going on there right now. On the 26th of last month, we saw another military coup take place, and the coup was led by the presidential guards of the president Mohamed Bazoum, and the mutiny was basically led by Abdurrahmane Chiani. And like you know, this is just like what has happened in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Guinea. And these are former French colonies. And the question would be, why has there been this trend of coups in the former French colonies? I think these people have begun to resent France. From what I checked, I understand that since 1960, the resources looted from the former French colonies by France would amount to about $600 billion. That is a lot. And indeed, if you look at how France have treated its former colonies, it's still like a master-servant relationship. How can France be holding the reserves of its former colonies in its own country? We saw how France frustrated the effort of the Ecowas to have a single currency. They frustrated it because that would have led to the former French colonies withdrawing their reserves and bringing them to the Ecowas bank that was being thought of as at that time. So France moved to frustrate it. And we have also seen how France have looted resources and still continue to loot resources. We have seen how France have stood with those who have led some of these countries as long as they were doing their bid. Even whatever they did, they turned a blind eye. We see where in some cases where many were going well above the stipulated 2-year tenure. For example, even right now in Côte d'Ivoire, we see Alassane Ouattara, who has been in office since 2010, and now it's 2023. 13 years after, he's still in office. We see the case of Cameroon. Paul Biya has been in office since many have been alive. And so these are some of the things that really irritate many people from the French-speaking countries of Africa. And that is why we are seeing a resentment for France and its government right now. And that is what we are seeing in the coup in Niger. For Abdurrahmane Chiani, they have not really come out to say the reason why they had embarked on this coup. But one of the reasons is the fact that the Islamic terrorists have become a nuisance, and the way or manner that the democratically elected government are responding to these people is not really how they in the military would have reacted. And that's the reason why we are seeing this mutiny in many of these countries. For Ecowas, the deadline for responding militarily to the military-led junta of Chiani was yesterday, Sunday. And I would say that it would be very sad should Ecowas proceed to use military intervention in Niger. And believe me, it would be like opening a Pandora box. Because if you look at the Ecowas region, how many of the nations in Ecowas are stable right now? Nigeria, my own country, which is the largest in terms of population, is very unstable right now. We see the ongoing crisis, the attacks of the Islamic terrorists in the north of Nigeria, and also right now we have an illegitimate government led by Bola Ahmed Tinubu that is trying to legitimize itself at all cost. And so, with all this in place, we see the situation in Chad, we see the situation in basically almost all the countries in that place. We see even is it Benin Republic, where a father had been in office for many years and now has now extended after dying, his son now is in office. So we see a very, very unstable region that is hanging on a thread. And so any military intervention at this time, believe me, will lead to a war. And that is the least thing Africa needs at this time. We see right now the situation in Somalia. We see the situation in Sudan, which is now in a full-blown war. We see the situation in South Sudan, Libya, Mauritania. So all these places right now are engulfed in war. The DRC is also still there. So that a military intervention is the least thing we want. So ECOWAS should come down from his high horse and not try to move the way the West is pushing it. I know that France is doing all it can, but because of course Bola Ahmed Tinubu is there as a stooge for them. At least that is France is his new home, just as London was home for Muhammadu Buhari in terms of military, in terms of health checkups. France is the home for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and so France will want to use Bola Ahmed Tinubu to push things in terms of military intervention. But for ECOWAS, that is the least thing they should do. Because if ECOWAS should embark on a military intervention, believe me, it's going to be a big crisis for the whole ECOWAS community. The north of Nigeria, we have many displaced people who have been living in camps, the so-called IDP camps, for years now, many years now. Many of these people have not been home to their homes for over 3 years, and now we want to facilitate another crisis in Niger. So, because also, if you look at the situation in Niger, many of the rich people who rich in quote, we know how these people got their wealth. They have invested in Niger to the extent that Muhammadu Buhari, before he left office, signed a rail line to be built from Nigeria all the way to Niger. Because according to him, he was trying to facilitate movement for his relatives. So this is the situation on the ground. Many of the Nigerian politicians have interest in Niger, and that's the reason why they will want to push by all means to ensure that they get these people out of power. You see, when democracy becomes corrupted, it is as good as nothing. And that's what we are seeing right now. What we have in many African countries is not democracy. I have made a video about this some time ago, because a lot of the so-called African politicians, I'll begin from home, Nigerian politicians, are satanic. They are just satanic and criminal minded. So anything you talk about in terms of democracy does not hold water. So my appeal to the Ecowas is that you guys, you shelve this military action we are thinking about. Use other means possible, but not a military intervention, because it's going to lead to serious bloodshed. It's going to lead to destruction of the so-called infrastructure that were not even there before. And it's going to bring misery, because we see right now a serious hunger because also of the poor leadership we have in Nigeria, especially in north of Nigeria, and in neighboring Chad and even Niger itself. So anything that will further aggravate the situation is what we least want at this time. So to America, to France, I appeal to you, you guys should not fan another war, because it is the least Africa wants at this time. There should be negotiations with the people involved, and the reason why these guys have embarked on a coup that has become very attractive should be addressed. Because if the politicians in Africa, in ECOWAS, were responsible, if they really act democratically, there will not be opportunities for wars like this, because the people will not support them. If we see situation in Guinea, in Mali, in Burkina Faso, even in Niger, the people have been fully in support of the military takeover, because the so-called democratic elected government have not done what they said they would do. And also to Russia, you guys should not turn this into a ground for settling your scores with the West. Go and settle your scores somewhere else. And to those people in Mali, in Guinea, Burkina Faso and Niger, do not think that Russia will be better than America and Europe and the EU. They are no better. They are just trying to take advantage of the breach in the relationship they have with them right now. So do not think that they are better. They are going to be worse when they establish themselves. So what you guys should do, what Africans should think about, is establishing itself. Structures should be built, and we should begin to hold our leaders accountable. The people should stand up, because for me, Africans have become too mute. Africans have become too intimidated that they are not standing up to demand accountability from those in leadership and truly hold them accountable should the justice system fail. So I want to conclude by saying, please, a military intervention is not what Africa wants. Africa does not want another war. ECOWAS, come to your senses. France, you have had enough. America, please, you guys should not facilitate another war. I know that you are trying to say that you are fighting terrorism, and Niger is a very strategic place, but I think there's a better way to go about this. I thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. May God bless you.